Kaedy and yours truly with Bob Seger. I can't believe you're in here with me.
Hi, how you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm real happy to be here.
Bob, I've just got to ask you straight out. You hardly ever do interviews. I mean, I've worked at this radio station for 12 years. You've come in town, done nights and nights of sellouts at the Omni, and it's rare that we get a chance to speak to you.
Yeah,
Tell us why this is.
Busy.
Is it really? Or are you kind of shy about?
No, not really. Just really busy. Usually, I making the records or something like that. I'm always doing something.
This is just an honor.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Thank you. And now I got my little son. He's 23 months old. We have another one coming. All Atlanta.
Congratulations.
Announced today. He's coming April 9th, or he or she, whatever.
You don't know yet.
Don't know yet. No.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful new family.
Yep.
I was going to ask you what you've been doing for the past several years. We haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, everybody in the band had kids first, right after the tour. The last tour was '87, and then I gave them a few years for that, and then suddenly it's my turn.
It definitely.
So now
is
they're
your
waiting
turn.
for me. It's just been bad timing, but we'll get out there one of these days.
So it really is just because of family. You just wanted to felt that this
really
was the time in your life to.
Yeah. Well, between 75 and 87, it was like album tour writing for about 12 years, and then when all three wives got pregnant on the '87 tour except mine.
Must have been a good tour.
Yeah, yeah. And they all had kids. I thought now's the time to kick back for a couple of years, And so.
Have you been itching to go? I mean, has it been
just
difficult?
lately? I have. Around the Fire Inside, I was real busy. I didn't feel like going, but I want to do one without going actually. But when this one is done, the new one I should say, as opposed to the Greatest Hits, which is coming out in 2 weeks.
Right.
I've got a new one that I'm also working on, and we're about 6 weeks away from that being done, and then 4 months once it's turned in from it being released. So like early next summer.
To tour?
No, for the release.
Okay, what about a
I gotta
tour?
wait. Well, I'll be the new baby. I want to make sure my son's
Well,
good with that.
That's cool. We can let you do that.
Yeah, and that my wife is back up to speed. So maybe fall. Next fall.
When I think about you, I had the opportunity, and it doesn't happen that often. People probably think it does being in radio, but I sat in the front row for your show, I believe, in '86. And it was one of the greatest and most powerful performances, but greatest experiences,
Well, thank
especially
you so
to
much.
see you that close.
Thank you.
Then I was thinking, when you think about Live Bullet, and that was the same year, wasn't it, that Frampton Comes Alive came out?
Yes,
Is
that's
it
exactly
76?
right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you think about live albums, and those are probably the two greatest that you can play song. What was the magic about that? Try to describe, especially for anybody that doesn't see your live show or hasn't seen one before.
Well, in that instance, way back in '75, September '75, when we recorded it, we had been playing like 250, 300 nights for about 12 years, So it was like just all bursting to come out, and people had heard those songs here and there in little venues and gymnasiums and cafeterias.
I've heard in Catholic high schools. I've heard too.
and bars and all sorts of places. And at that point, I guess it was just exploding out of us. We just wanted to let the world know, and that was like our first headline shows, ever, in a large hall. And at that time, that was a 12,000 seater. Now they're bigger even than that. The hockey places, the basketball.
Oh yeah, 58,000.
But at that time, that's where we were at. We were just bursting for everybody to hear it, and you can hear the manic road grizz and everything.
Especially when you introduce Turn the Page. It's kind of like, you okay, Bob?
Yeah.
Wow. What are some memories of that? Because, or how do you look back on it now, as that's almost 20 years ago that was released? Are you proud of that? I mean, it's just extraordinary.
Well, that was a real
really.
exciting time for us because we'd done about 12 years of playing everywhere in every kind of venue. And then we finally made it big in '76. Night Moves came out in March of '76, and then Live Bullet came out in March of '76, and then Night Moves in October of '76.
Wow, look at that.
So, and by Christmas, they were both platinum. And we went from station wagons to jets, and we never did a bus tour.
Wow.
Kind of went from rags to
Hip-hop
riches.
the bus.
Yeah, and so, and from that point on, all we just wanted to see how far we could take it. So it was album tour, writing, album tour, writing, and that was it for the next 12 years. Yeah.
I'm really excited to hear something new from you again, and then to see you on the road, because it was one of those concert experiences, and you just have a wonderful rapport with your
and
audience.
This is interesting. You got the one you have queued up here, C'est La Vie, is kind of harks back to that time. We wanted to put something on the greatest hits that was, there's no overdubs on this at all. It's cut live in the studio. Everybody's playing. It's one take, boom, done.
It kind of sounds like it, though, because it's so raucous. It's really fun to listen to.
Yeah, and we wanted to get back to that, and we recorded this song in 1988. We recorded about 10 rock and roll songs, some Fats Domino stuff, some Little Richard stuff, some Chuck Berry stuff, and just recorded it all live in the studio because we were getting our chops up to do the Fire Inside album, which we were just going to start recording. And so this is one of the songs we remembered from those sessions, and then when this came up, we decided to put it on the greatest.
So this is actually from 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So it isn't that new to
No.
you anyway. It's Bob Seger and C'est La Vie, and surprise for you, he would love to answer your phone calls, which is great. So
Please call in.
741-9696 for Bob Seger.
It was a teenage way.
Bob Seger, one of 2 new songs available on his greatest hit CD in the stores in a couple of weeks. C'est La Vie, Chuck Berry's song, recorded actually 6 years ago, is just kind of a band little gig to play before you recorded The Fire Inside.
Right, just a warm up in a local studio back in Detroit.
Interesting. Now you've got to tell me, since we don't have the whole greatest hits here yet, what is on it? Did you have any decision in picking all the songs on it?
I pretty much did the sequence,
Tell us about that, because I read that that it is sequenced on purpose to kind of tell a story.
Well, a lot of people wanted 2 albums and stuff, but I wanted to hold it down the price, and because let the working class people get a good deal on the price. So we held it to 1 album, and we've got. I can just tell you the titles.
Yes, I would love to hear how and why.
Well, we got "Roll Me Away" because it was a big concert favorite.
I love that song.
"Night Moves." We've got "Turn the Page" because it was a big concert favorite. Really, 2 of those 3 weren't really big hits, but they were big concert
"Turn the
songs.
Page" is still one of the most requested songs we ever got.
Yeah, "You'll Accompany Me" from Against the Wind. And let's see, "Hollywood Nights," still the same old time rock and roll. And "We've Got Tonight." They're all from Stranger in Town. And then "Against the Wind," the song. Then we've got "Main Street." We got "The Fire Inside" from the last album, and "Like a Rock," and then the 2 new ones.
Wow.
14 all.
Okay, and you picked the way that
They're actually in that order, yeah.
Okay, and it has, so it's kind of a tie-in through your life? Am I understanding that right?
Well, yeah, you start with "Roll Me Away." It's kind of cinematic in a way, or like reading a story or a novel. Starts in the middle, goes back to the beginning, and then goes to the ending.
So you really have to listen to the whole thing to kind of get the feel of it.
Yeah.
Which is, because we know the hits. It's unbelievable. I'm looking at this stack of CDs here, and just still thrilled to have you in here with me today.
Well, thank you.
Now, this is funny. I turned over the Kaedy's Classic slot to Bob, and he decided that he wanted to play a different artist, and we're going to have quite a story, I have a feeling, for you coming up. It's Kaedy's Classic, brought to you by Hi-Fi Buys, Budweiser 5 o'clock whistle with lots of Bob Seger in it, and we'll have your live traffic updates very shortly, too, from the Rock and Roll Jet Patrol.
Hi-Fi Buys reminds you.
Toro.
Atlanta's Credit Connection.
Credit where credit is due.
Gosh, what a pleasure to have Bob Seger in the studio. All kinds of phone calls here, so you are welcome to call him. 741-9696, as we have the Budweiser 5 o'clock whistle next, and Kaedy's Classic right now, which is brought to you by Hi-Fi Buys. I said, Bob, what do you want me to play? And he goes, can I play somebody else? That's fine. But this is, first of all, let me set it up this way. We've been rocking for 20 years as of this summer. And I loved this phone call. We got Mike Ken of the Atlanta Falcons, who is like a 17 or 18-year veteran with the Falcons, just one of our favorite players, had something very interesting to say about concerts back in 1986. So I want you to hear this.
96 Rock, 20 years of rock and roll.
1986, a great year for concerts at the Omni. Bob Seger did 3 straight shows. ZZ Top did 3 straight shows. Mike Ken of the Falcons was at both.
ZZ Top, I'd always been a big fan of ZZ Top, and it's the first time I actually got a chance to see them play, and I really enjoyed it because I really liked their music. When they came with the big stage, it was had all the car effects on it and everything. There's 2 concerts I went to at the Omni that were just phenomenal. And one was Bruce Springsteen. Another one was the Bob Seger concert, where they had dimmed the whole lights in the Omni, and Bob Seger was up at the piano, and just a spotlight on him, and he was playing a ballad and simultaneously his spot clicked off, and then the spot clicked on in the balcony, and there was the saxophone player with his legs wrapped over the balcony there, right on the end, playing the saxophone. It was unbelievable. I mean, it sent chills down your spine. Those two I really remember.
Now, how does that make you feel?
Very good.
When you're thinking about
Yeah.
back to a year and this guy comes up with that concert.
That's very nice, very flattering.
What do you remember about that tour?
Oh, gee, 78 tour.
Well, that was 86, actually.
The 86 tour?
Yeah.
Oh, we had a great show, in 86. We had some great people. We had Billy Payne, a Little Feat sat in with
Oh,
us.
he's amazing, isn't he?
Great piano player. And then Rick Vito, who later was with Fleetwood Mac, and he's a great slide player, and he played on Like a Rock, the big slide guitar solo. And Fred Tackett of Little Feat, and
You must be a Little Feat. I am a huge Little Feat fan.
yeah, and then of course my own band, and our background singers Laura and Sean and them that have been with us for I don't know 20 years. Yeah,
Wasn't
It
that
was
the
great.
last time we saw you in Atlanta?
That was
then?
the last time you
Gosh.
saw us. Yeah. Mhm.
Now, it was interesting how he brought up Bruce in the same phrase, and you had picked some Springsteen for me to play for the classic.
Yeah.
Tell us the story.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just riding up with John from Capitol here, and he was talking about he used to live in Atlanta, and I said, "Do you remember Richards?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I remember the first time I met Bruce Springsteen, and we were just getting starting to get big both together simultaneously in 1975, and." The first time I went backstage, I said, "I understand you just played Richards," and he said, "Yeah, in Atlanta." We were talking about how good the monitors were.
Isn't that wild?
That was our first conversation.
It was about Atlanta. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is great. And why did you pick this cut from Bruce?
Oh, I guess it just reminded me of it, because we were driving up and talking about it. So this is Born to Run.
All right, it's Katie's Classic
Yeah.
on 96 Rock. Bob Seger in the studio at 741-9696.
Roll me away.
96 Rock, Kaedy with Bob Seger and Roll Me Away. First cut on the Greatest Hit CD, which will be in the stores. And the actual date, Bob, on the Greatest Hits?
I think it's the 24th or the 28th. I can't remember which. One of those two.
Because
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be a little bit earlier or whatever. Anyway, we have to wait. Let's go over a couple of things because I'm envisioning people getting out of work, getting in their cars now and being able to listen. First of all, you're just here really just to talk to us because you never get a chance to.
Right. And I'm going to go to a dinner with some Capitol people tonight.
Okay, which we
Yeah.
were not invited, by the way. So,
Well, you
but he
are.
decided to come by. And then you started a family, which sounds wonderful. You have a
Yeah.
son that's almost 2, and
Yeah,
your wife.
I
is-
started really late. I'm 49 years old, so I'm real late to this, but it's great fun.
Oh, I bet it is.
Yeah.
And then you've got another on the way.
Another one on the way. I got a little boy named Cole, Cole.
Oh, nice name.
It's wild. He's got flaming red hair. I wish I had
What
my
color is
pictures
your
with
wife's
me.
hair? I wish you did
She's
too.
blonde, and I've got brown hair, and he's got flaming red hair. We're both half Irish, so I guess that's where it came from.
Isn't that something?
And he's got blue eyes. He's a great little guy.
Oh, that's and congratulations on the next one, which is due in. Did you say April?
April 9th.
I'm trying to remember all this.
Yeah.
Bob's personal life, and then you've got a new CD. Actually, aside from the Greatest Hits, you have a new one coming out in about 6 months.
Yeah, I'm going into the studio in November for 6 months with the guy that I've been making records with for about 10 years, David Cole. He did Like a Rock. He did Fire Inside, and
Is this where your son's name came from?
And The Distance. Actually, he has a son named Christopher Cole, and my son's whole name is Christopher Cole. It's wild.
But
Yeah.
that just happened?
It
or-
just happened.
Wow,
yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, because his David Cole is my engineer, and he's an old friend. And it never even really occurred to me. My wife just liked the name. Actually, it didn't have anything to do with
It
David,
is a
but-
cool name.
But he's very flattered that it was.
You might as well just say yes when people ask. I
Oh
guess.
yeah, I should. Yeah.
So you'll be back in the studio again. And who's the band? I mean, the same band that's been around or different variations? Or have you thought about that yet?
Oh, it's the same band.
Okay.
Yeah, Alto and Chris and Craig. And then we've got a new guitar player, a guy named Tim Mitchell, that we are working with, and he's on all of our new stuff. As a matter of fact, he's on In Your Time, which I think you're going to
We're
play
gonna
in a
play
little
in
while.
just a second, yeah.
He does the solo in the middle. And Tim has been playing with Gloria Estefan for years, but he loves to rock as well, and he doesn't sound like with us at all, like he sounds with her.
Actually,
He's very-
she's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of
she's
rockin',
cool.
dancey music. But
Yeah, but he plays like a real raw big, huge, raw sound with us. And so he's working out real good, and he's going to be with us when we tour, and it's going to be great.
Okay, and so the tour probably won't start until next fall. So for people
Yeah.
it keeps coming up in these questions with a phone call, so we pass that along.
I just got to be fluid with it because I want to do right by my family.
I think
wanna
that's
be a
great.
good dad.
And that is the most important thing, really, in the world. I mean, you have all these other babies, but they'll always be there, won't they?
Yeah, but you won't get to see them all those baby times, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As we're talking too about the greatest hit, somebody said, "When's a box set coming out?" And that brings up a question I have about a guy that called and said he's the one that told me that you'd played at a Byzantine Catholic high school sock hop. God, back in Cleveland, Ohio, I guess. He brought up Lost Herd. He brought up the song Persecution Smith,
Sure.
Teagarden, and Van Winkle.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was wondering about all these things that you've done over the years.
Yeah, all the rarities. And
Why don't you play them live? And can we ever
Yeah.
hear them?
Well, I think they'll probably end up on the box set, and some of the rare ones, and now and then we work them in. More often than not, we do it when we're at home, and we'll do like 10, 12 shows at home, and those people know them better, than people outside.
So
of
more
Detroit.
regional kind of,
yeah. So we do some of them there, but. The box set, that'll be the idea. The greatest hits is out of the way now, and we can do like all these things. Remember, did you ever hear this in your travels? Sort of the rarities, and that'll be fun.
So there is a box set in the plan, so it's not...
In the plans.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll get to it, like I said, probably until, for another year and a half. Because when I get on tour, I don't do anything but tour. That's the focus.
That's it, eh?
Yeah.
Now I got a couple of stupid questions for you. Do you get paid for hard copy using Hollywood Nights?
I don't know. I really don't. My manager would know, and I suspect so.
Yeah, I guess they use it so
Yeah.
blatantly that I was thinking, gosh, I wonder if he gets paid for that.
Yeah, I suspect so. I think there's a thing that it comes from a whole nother union after the TV thing, and so I suspect so, yeah.
And then tell us about like a rock being used. Now, actually, this makes total sense that it'd be Chevrolet and All American and you, but it's just fascinating because actually that started quite a while ago.
And we've
it's-
never allowed it to be on radio. We've only allowed it on television,
Okay, for the TV commercials.
Yeah, just for TV commercials. It's never been on radio anywhere.
That's interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. But
Well,
it's
we
also
live
in the
on
print.
radio,
It's
yeah.
in the print commercial.
That
like
happened
a
a
rock.
little later. Yeah, they wanted to use that, and really the idea was I turned it down for the longest time, but they said that it tested so high. It was right up there with like Michael Jordan and Reebok, and in the test markets that they did, or the marketing that they brought people in to see it, off the street, and. I just felt like we should do something for the auto industry, which was at that time wasn't, especially GM, was not doing well that year that we gave them the song. I think they lost $12 billion. But since that time, they've turned it around a lot, and I hope the song had a little bit to do with that. And I remember the last quarter, they made $1.9 billion. And they called us at Chevy. They called my manager, and I keep referring to my manager. We've been together 29 years,
Yes.
Punch.
Is he here?
He's here,
Oh,
actually.
neat. That's
You'll
neat.
never get him on the radio. He's real shy.
I wanna meet him.
You will. And so really, the good news is the last quarter was $1.9 billion they made, GM, and they called us up and they said 60% of it was truck sales. So, we're doing something right and saving a lot of jobs in Michigan, hopefully.
There you go. I like that.
That's the idea.
I was wondering about it, but it's just amazing to me, the longevity of it.
Yeah.
But it's just still
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Time Magazine, I just noticed it. Let's talk about this song, and this is one that I have read was written for your son. Is this for Cole?
This is for Cole. Again, being a sort of a retrospective set, I thought, well, the last song on it will just be about where I am now, okay? And so obviously this is where I am now, and next April I'll be there with a vengeance. So it's a little
dad of
song.
two very
yeah, it's a
soon.
little song for my son called "In Your Time."
And this is from Bob Seger's upcoming Greatest Hit CD on 96 Rock.
All the night in your time, you'll be fine in your time.
96 Rock, Bob Seger, another brand new cut, and that is the second of two that are going to be available on the Greatest Hit CD, that called In Your Time. Very nice song.
Thank you.
For his young son. And I'll tell you what, we're going to have to wrap up here with Bob because he has a pretty strict schedule, I guess, while you're in town.
Yeah.
I know you've been to the newspaper, right?
Yep.
We are the only radio station. You're going to dinner with the record guys. So
Yeah.
I have a few more questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
But it's a lousy drive. So let's check on the roads and see what Andy Armstrong's got to say about the ride home today.
Oh, it's absolutely.
And we're all professionals, and they're all long-term.
D. Geller and Son. Call 955-5995.
Kaedy with Bob Seger, who's in town pretty much to talk about his new Greatest Hits CD. We've been answering some great phone calls. I thank you all for that and for getting through for this. And just a couple more questions. We've got tonight. What'd you think about the cover with Kenny Rogers and Sheena Easton?
Oh, I thought my mom would like it. And she did.
I wasn't sure what you were going to say. I didn't expect that. Do you know what? That is one of the most beautiful songs, and it was. I'd rather hear you sing it any day. That's funny.
Yeah.
And also, do you? Well, I don't know how to put this to you because now when I hear old time rock and roll, I always envision Tom Cruise in his underwear.
Right.
Tell me about.
And lately, it was last year, Nicole Kidman, his wife, did it on Saturday Night Live.
That's
and then, of course,
right.
the President Ron Reagan's son did it.
Did it?
Yeah.
And those skits, yeah.
Yeah. That's great fun, and it was a nice thing, in the movie. It's a real grin, I don't think a lot of people just can't even listen to that song without envisioning that anymore.
I can't anymore.
Yeah,
I can't, but it's one of those great songs too. Just such a fun song.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations, by the way, for your star on the. Explain this now. Is this adjacent to the Hollywood Star?
Well, I've already got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, believe it or not. Yeah, we do have one. Right in front of
Wow.
Capitol Records. We've had that about 6 years.
Wow.
And this is going to be the rock walk in front of the huge, famous Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard. And I guess you put your hands in the clay there, and I'll be alongside Eddie Van Halen. And
Oh, that's
maybe
great.
Billy Gibbons if I'm lucky. And yeah.
When will this happen then? When's the
This
ceremony?
is next Tuesday.
Congratulations.
Next Tuesday. I'm going to L.A. and yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. So ahead for you, a new CD that you're going to go in the studio to do next month. We'll
Yep.
also have the greatest hits in a couple of weeks. A tour hopefully next fall.
Yep.
Another new baby
Another
next
new
year
baby.
in the
Yeah.
springtime.
Won't be sleeping much next summer.
Well, you've got to come back to Atlanta very, very soon because we
Okay.
absolutely love you. And it's just been a pleasure to talk to you. I'm
Okay.
just tickled. I wasn't sure if you didn't do these things because you were kind of shy or what. So to wrap up here, I asked you to pick one song that I guess you'd be proudest of if you say that once we're dead and gone, if somebody pulled this out of a vault, which would be the song that you choose of yours? And
Yeah, it's actually probably would be Like a Rock. I think it's pretty strong. I like that one a lot. I like a lot of them a lot. It's not really my key favorite song, but I do like it. I like it a lot.
Are there any that you just are embarrassed now that you wrote?
No, I try not to think about those.
So you won't tell me those.
Most of those didn't make it on the album. So.
Well, that's good to know then. You're not too embarrassed. Thank you so much. A
Okay.
pleasure to meet you. Enjoy your stay in Atlanta.
Thank you,
And
Kaedy.
thanks for talking to your fans.
It was great fun, and thanks for everybody for calling in. It's great talking to you.
Bob
Okay.
Seger on 96 Rock. '96 Rock. Bob Seger has left the building, and what a pleasure! Like a Rock, the one that he picked, that he'd say he's one of the ones he's most proud of. And just honestly, I was just so surprised at how wonderfully bubbly and talkative he was because he doesn't do that many interviews, but claimed it was because he's so busy. But busy with family life now, and look for him next year to be touring again, possibly fall time. And of course, look for the Greatest Hit CD. That's going to be out in a couple of weeks in the record store for you. And just a pleasure. And also to all of you who called. Very nice phone calls today. I appreciate it. Coming up, we've got Stevie Ray Vaughan, the new one from Black Crowes, the huge, great, long one from Led Zeppelin. And right now, we've got Jeff Hollinger online. His sports report brought to you by Denny's. All-you-can-eat fish, just $3.99 at all 11 Atlanta area Denny's. Jeff?
Kaedy, you get to interview all these big rock and roll stars. Have you ever interviewed somebody who was just crabby and nasty and disrespectful?
Yeah, well,
Who?
once or twice. I'm not going to say.
Oh, why not?
I just would never interview him again.
But they deserve to have their name announced, if that's how.
Well, yeah, but we play them, so I'm not
Oh,
going
come
to
on.
say it.
Who is it?
I'll tell you
I'm
later.
dying to know.
I'll tell you one who started out as a real creep, and then he turned into kind of a nice guy, was Huey Lewis.
Really?
when he was really, because I think he was sort of a man's man, and he saw this woman that was about to interview him and kind of treated me like crap for about 10 minutes, and then he was fine at the end.
Well, he's sort of like the Lindbergh baby now. He sort of disappeared.
Yeah, he has. That's what happens when you when you treat me like crap.
I hope you didn't have any part in his disappearance.
No, of course I didn't. He actually ended up being very nice at the end. But
well, I heard this morning. I did not make it into the station today. I've been fighting off a little illness.
Yeah, speaking of sports, huh?
But Kevin had something pierced today.
I can't believe he did that.
He had a, shall I say, nipple pierce?
Yes.
Do we understand his motivation for that?
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to see. I just know he did.
Boy, oh